Hey, CRMBC members, welcome to this new series that we're doing where we're talking about all of the things that go into claims and how you can help us to help you. And I'm joined today with Randy Bugg, who is the Vice President of Pacific Claims Management, our TPA. And, as a self-insured group, we're always talking about how important claims management is and how we're the best at it. And this series is part of it because we're going to bring you real-time issues as they come up and best practices and things that are just working and not working. So Randy, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
This is going to be a cool thing because rather than us just talking about things we wish were different, we're going to talk right to the members and we're going to provide it to you guys in video, in letters and emails and updates and newsletters. So there's no way that you're going to miss it. And it's a resource for you to be able to watch it yourself, but also to be able to share it with your managers or the persons in your office that are responsible for these different things. And today we're specifically talking about claims reporting, timely claims reporting. So Randy, let's start at the highest level first. Claims reporting, when there's an injury, it seems like it should be really clear that there's an injury and the claims get reported. But obviously that's not the case. There's a million different scenarios that we see. So first, just talk big picture, claims reporting, why is it important?
Well, it really tees up the entire life of the claim, right? It's what really gives life to the process, for the injured worker and the employer. So, you want to minimize the lag. Whenever, something kind of sits around for a while, it never gets any better.
And the problem that we see is sometimes, and it's not, we know it's not intentional. You're running your restaurant, you're busy, you have a lot of different people who are responsible for it. And so sometimes the claim doesn't get reported right away. And also I do think that some people don't report it right away because they think their rates are going to go up or it's going to be, they're going to get dinged for it. And that's absolutely not the case with self-insurance. That is, the sooner that we get the claim, the sooner we can get on top of it. And then tell us kind of the horror stories of what can happen when someone doesn't do it timely.
Yeah, I mean, really, yeah, getting that claim in right away, it really mitigates, not just the length of the claim, but also the expenses, that are involved. A lot of times when, you have a claim that hasn't been reported and maybe the rates are the concern, usually that claim will get a lot more expensive. You'll have litigation, you'll have a lot of, evaluations and things that are very expensive that have to take place. And you could be, a couple years down the road for a claim that could have maybe been resolved in 6 months. We've had, just last week, we had one, unfortunately, that was never reported to us at all. We're not really sure why, but it came to us through a bill collector. This person was in the hospital and they were, running around trying to get paid and hammering on everybody before it finally got to us. Something like that, kind of now we're starting from scratch. We already know they were in the hospital, kind of big stuff, and we could have done a lot for that claim to shorten its lifespan had we gotten that sooner.
And before we get into the actual mechanics of reporting a claim, I want to add to that what we see is that when the injured worker doesn't feel like they have answers and when it's reported to us, we have at PCM Claims, we've got so many different touch points. Talk about what you guys do right within the first 48 hours.
Yeah, well, to your first point, exactly. If they don't get answers, they're going to turn to an attorney. I mean, that's automatic, the world that we live in, and what we do here is we jump on it. We have, like you say, a lot of people that touch the claim when it first comes in. That's why we have an electronic reporting process. So we get it right away. We have a team here, bilingual, outreaches, to the employee, lets them know that they have the claim, who their adjuster is going to be. Then our adjuster reaches out. Again, we have that, bilingual team there. So there's no problems with communication as well. I think that's very important in California, especially in the restaurant industry, to have that ability. And then we have our claims associates who assist the examiner, and they're right there in the mix too. So we make sure that, the client and the injured worker feel like they're being paid attention to right away.
And not to beat a dead horse, because we did see this, but what we find is that when the injured worker gets the attention from our adjusters, from our nurse case managers, there's a lot of times that we're able to handle everything out of the gate and it never turns into a claim
Hmm.
because they just needed some advice right at the beginning. They just needed some, I guess, nurse triage right at the beginning, and then it doesn't become litigated. It doesn't turn into anything else. So that's why we're telling you that this is such a critical, it seems so simple, but every day someone doesn't do this and it affects the entire group because you guys are all owners of this self-insured group. So we want all of you guys to get on the same page, which brings us to the how of reporting. We just switched to a new TPA. So obviously things are changing. And in the past, we had a lot of members who were in the habit of faxing in their claims. And we're getting away from that because that's archaic and it keeps you from doing it timely, and it's just a horrible practice. So Randy, tell us what the new plan is and how simple it is and how they can make this a habit in their restaurant.
Yeah, it's really simple with us. Like I say, we have an electronic reporting portal. I mean, it's as simple as just filling out, boxes, and it tells you what's required to even just do like a quick and dirty report, just something to get us started. When you're faxing stuff over or even emailing it, sometimes it can float around because it's on paper. It doesn't go directly into the system like an electronic report. So even little things like, we know that certain members, they want a claim number right away. Well, the best way to get that is to use the electronic portal because it issues that right away, generates that claim, and everybody gets the information that they need. On paper, like you said, you're busy running a restaurant. A lot of times those are not the people that report the claim. Has to go to an office, a corporate office, if you will. That takes time, and then the time that it takes to send paper our way via fax or anything else, you got to put all that into a workflow, and you could lose even just a couple of days can make a difference.
And so, of all of our members, give us an example of someone who's nailing it. In as much detail as, is it going through a central office or are the managers on the floor doing it? Like, what's the best practice that you've seen?
Best practice. I've got to give a hand to Golden State Restaurant Group. I think they're doing a really good job. They've been really on the phone with us, communicating in real time. A lot of times too. So I think they're doing a good job. I think that people are coming over. I know the folks at Marmalade. We had sat down and had a conversation, and they've gotten into the reporting process as well. So it does take time sometimes to just, get used to sort of the new thing on the block. And I do see that that's starting to work really well.
Speaking of which, you have a philosophy of your team answers the phone. Things don't go to voicemail, which is critical because also we do a lot of podcasts and I always ask the attorneys, what would have made your life easier? And the private investigator, what would have made you more successful? And across the board, everyone says better communication because we're in this time now where everyone just wants to send an email. And yet during the conversation, there's so many more things and so much more information that comes out when you get on a phone call. So you're not saying it's required. At least use the portal. That's better than a fax. But to the extent that you can get on the phone and here's some more background about why this claim happened, what people saw, and document, that helps along every single part of the claim because sometimes the claim doesn't actually become a claim until a year later and you're going back and trying to get people's memories or trying to find out and the people that worked there don't work there anymore. So the documentation right at the time of the injury is, we just can't overemphasize.
No, it's huge, and I get a lot of questions from various members. They'll call because now they know they can call, and we'll answer the phone. I'm giving a lot of advice, even simple questions like, "Hey, should I report this claim?" We had one just as recently as yesterday where the person missed like 3 or 4 days of time, and then they were like, "Hey, we don't want medical treatment." So they were kind of scratching their head. Do we report it? Yes, yes. The answer is yes because they
Yes.
lost time. The big stuff's easy to see. You end up with people that go to the hospital. That's the easy stuff that, okay, this has got to get in. But it's the small stuff, and horror stories. I have had small stuff that started off as a cut, that turn into blood poisoning, turn into hospitalization, even months later. The culture that we experience here in California, we've had people that leave. You think it's small, they go to Mexico sometimes, they come back, where things have really, turned bad from a medical treatment or lack of medical treatment standpoint. So again, even the small stuff, it's better to be cautious.
Small stuff and near miss.
Yes.
So near miss, there might not, like small stuff, something has happened. Near miss could be, someone slipped and they didn't actually fall, but there could be a stray, there could be a stray something. We want you to report those because unlike the traditional carrier where you start to get dinged, it doesn't work like that here. We're
No.
here for you. It's a nonprofit. You're the members and we're here for you to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. Those first aids and near misses don't really count, and one of the things too that, with a lot of clients, they don't understand is on the first aid, you're going to get a medical bill. And there's a lot of employers out there that, they'll just pay that bill at face value. We actually review that. We actually reduce that. So, that $150 office visit is now a $75 office visit. And so you are saving and being more effective, by reporting those little things.
Where is the portal? How do they access the portal?
Yeah, so we have a how-to we've distributed to all the members. It has the link. Our portal is called OCLink. And basically every employer gets a login. It's their email and a secure password. And you can access it 24/7 over the internet.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Randy. We're going to do a whole series of these every time something comes up at PCM that we think all the members need to know about. We're going to do another one. And if there's one that you want us to do that is something that you feel like would be helpful for your managers, but you'd like us to prepare the video, just email me at kaya@crmbc.com and we will get that recorded for you. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. We'll
Thank
talk
you.
soon.
Okay, absolutely.